It looks like we are live. Yay! Yay! Awesome. Okay. Um, I am Lonnie with Untitled Nerd Network. We're broadcasting live from Infinity Flux, cards, comics, and games from Hickson, Tennessee. And I am joined by a very special guest who we've not talked to since Connuga, Kyle Puttkammer. How are you doing today, Kyle? Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm very tired from Free Comic Book Day because it was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Still tired?
Still tired from Free Comic Book Day. What a weekend!
That is true. I bet I could probably, after the weekend we had and all the interviews we've been enjoying with our anniversary, I bet I could have slept for 24 hours.
But it was definitely a good time.
It was.
That's it.
It was a really good time here.
Watch the chat.
Huh?
You want me to watch the chat?
Yeah. Hold on. We're gonna keep an eye on the
I'm doing something else on my
YouTube chat, just in case somebody wants to drop in and ask a question or two. We are actually on the eve of a very special release, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. Now, I want the people who haven't heard of Hero Cats or heard of you, tell us a little bit about what got you into the comic book field. I don't even think I asked that question at Connuga.
Well, what got me into comic books, of course, was Star Wars back when I was 10 years old. And then as a teenager, I kind of drifted away from comic books. And what got me back into comics in my early 20s was they turned the Incredible Hulk into a bouncer at a Las Vegas bar. Peter David for the win.
That legitimately happened?
He totally. Yeah. That was the Peter David run. He wrote about 10 years worth of the Hulk series, and that was early on his Mr. Fix-It run. And so I got back into comic books in the early 90s, before the whole image thing and such. And then I was working at Quick Trip, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, these comic books are collector's items," and I was like, "Really?" I just read them because I enjoy them. And of course, we all know about the early 90s boom with the collector's stuff. And then I've been in comics for a long time. But it was when I taught art classes. And with Galaxy Man, which is a character that I created as a kind of a mascot and so forth, I noticed that there weren't enough comics for all ages. And when I say all ages, I really mean like the Pixar type of, where us adults can come and enjoy the Incredibles movie, and the kids can enjoy it too. So I wanted more all ages stuff for my daughters, and then as my daughters got older, I always thought about doing a kids book for them, really a children's book. And when they got older, it's like, okay, why don't I just go ahead and finally get around to doing something? And so I took Cats and added a real drama, a real seriousness, and yet playful. That fine balance that, like in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie, they had that good playfulness to it. A little bit of humor, but also plenty of drama. And when I did start imagining these stories, I wasn't sure if people would get what I was putting out there. For that matter, I wasn't even sure where I could take these characters. But once the characters became very defined in my mind, then I could go anywhere with them. And we have been able to tell some very expansive stories. And we've got a lot more to come.
Oh yeah. Now the difference now between when we talked last time and now is I have actually read the first volume of Midnight, and it's actually volume 2, number 1 is releasing tomorrow. And to anybody who knows what to look for, here at Infinity Flux, we have the new copy there. That's brand new, going to be releasing tomorrow. Yeah, I'm sure you have a handful of these at your store too. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Ah, look, we both have copies.
And I got to tell you, Alex Ogle, the artist of the series, is such a joy to work with. He's really a professional, and I hand him the script. He comes back with the roughs, and I'm able to guide from there, and then everything comes back completed. And the nice thing when multitasking like I do between going to conventions, the retail aspect of things, making sure the fans are taken care of for their special orders and such, and marketing and promoting amongst the stores. We go to the retailer summits and so forth to get the word out about the purpose of the book and such. And so it's nice to have somebody that I can hand a script off to, and the book comes back just the way I saw it in my head. And Alex has really got that skill.
And I thought it was pretty cool. He almost seems like a good teacher too, because in the back of one of the Midnight comics, he actually has like a 3 or 4 page tutorial on how to draw comics, and it like has like how to draw Midnight, how to get the how to draw a cat, how to do like from rough sketch and like different expressions even on the cat faces. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Illustrating cats is honestly not. Obviously, a lot of artists work on anatomy, human anatomy.
Yeah.
Cats are a completely different beast altogether.
I think your camera is zoomed in on you for some reason. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, for some reason, I guess it focused on your face, and like you kind of look like Zordon from the Power Rangers sitting there for a second. It's not a bad problem to have.
All right. I'll try and sit.
But yeah, we've got, huh? Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on there. We're broadcasting according to this.
Yeah. Huh.
I don't know. Regardless, it'll be recording.
Yeah.
So if we are not live, we will publish later. But I have to ask, Hero Cats, tell us a little bit about that series.
So I self-published it, I don't know, 4 years ago, maybe. You lose track of time pretty quick. And we went out to Heroes Con with it and did really well. And then the next year we didn't have any new material because I had just been playing with it. But the second year we went out and did even better than the first year. So that was encouraging, and we knew we were on to something. So we went ahead and did a couple more issues, presented it to a publisher, and upon getting a publisher, then it was game on. We wanted to make sure that the schedule was locked in, and we started recruiting talent, the support team. At this point, I think I've employed well over 20 artists, and the latest graphic novel, which I'm really pleased with, is this one here.
Oh my God!
And that's actually Alex Ogle's artwork there.
Yeah.
With me, it's our first collaboration, and so.
Could you show that cover again? Look at this.
Yeah.
It looks like Jubilee.
Oh gosh. Logan had a big one.
And this one actually released today also. We did have a little bit of a problem with the printer. That's been addressed, and that's our 6th graphic novel now. So the intention here is to very much so have almost like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles property where the series is ongoing. So as a comic shop, as you build your fan base for it, you'll be able to continue to serve that fan base. You won't have to worry about, well, I don't have anything more to sell them. They bought all the series. There'll always be some new product for Hero Cats coming out in quite some time.
I really like that. Because I haven't been able to read Hero Cats yet, but I've read the complete series of Midnight, and I can tell that there's some stuff that I'm missing. Like, it's a really good jumping on point for new readers, the first volume of Midnight, but at the same time, there's like little nods to things that have happened right before that, and it really makes me want to go and catch completely up, and that's going to have to happen eventually. Now I want to ask. I asked Alex the same thing in his opinion. What made you pick Midnight as the character who got his first spinoff?
Well, largely because when I saw Alex's art, it was very Frank Miller-esque. It had that, um, it had that feel of Black Cat potential.
Hmm.
And so I immediately saw his art and thought, I know the story to tell with that. One of the fun things about this world that I'm imagining is that as I meet different artists, I have different story concepts that I'd really like to see illustrated by them. So I'll tailor a story specifically to an artist. Right now, we're working on almost a Disney art style, and I've written specific stories for that. And I'm hoping that that comes together. But a lot of these artists, as they come on board, never really sure how how the pages are going to come in, because it is such a different process. And with Alex, when I saw his art, I knew the story that I wanted to tell. And so that's the reason why the Midnight book exists. Also, if you really think about it, Justice League of America, if the Hero Cats are the Justice League of America and Midnight is Batman,
Yeah.
well, Midnight, the Batman title sells well, so the Midnight title should sell quite well. And it has. We can't make any announcements yet, but we are working on a very special project. So be keeping an eye on that. We hope to be able to wish everybody a very happy Halloween. So.
Oh,
We'll see.
you saying that just makes me just want to badger you constantly until you finally break and tell me what it is.
So we're going to switch gears here, and I'm going to explain to you the writing process of that graphic novel.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, the writing the ongoing, writing the ongoing, I only had one rewrite, and I pretty much was comfortable and happy with the way the story unfolded. But the Midnight book, that was special. I had to rewrite the third issue of that 2-3 times, because when Midnight finally confronted Galaxy Man,
Yeah.
in a very Batman versus Superman way, I wanted to make sure that the resolution to all of that was fun and yet impactful, and it really came together. I was pleased with it.
Yeah. Now I'm not going to spoil the ending of Volume 1 here, but there is actually, and this tugged at my heartstrings, because this isn't just like a cartoony, everything resolves itself type deal. Midnight actually has a somewhat tragic backstory, and I feel like we can at least say that part, in which he, he's like a regular cat. He was, I guess, a stray. Little girl took him in and fed him, and he was part of a family, and then they kind of have a tragedy befall the family, and they have to move away. Well, when they do, they can't take the cat, and so he's left behind. And that situation is addressed on later in issue 3, and I really kudos on that, because a lot of people, especially people who at one point have had to leave a pet behind, that just, oh God, that just tore at me, that situation that he had, and you got to see the family leaving from his point of view, and that's not something that you see often.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to, well, there's only been a couple of characters where, as I'm writing, it's like, I feel bad for him, but this is the road that he has to go down. Now, keeping in mind, I can assure everybody that none of the Hero Cats will ever die. I would never, I don't do that, because these characters are very, well, some of the magic of Hero Cats is that these are innocent creatures that are, generally speaking, powerless in the real world. And in the Stellar City world, they're all empowered and I just don't want to derail any of that. So the Hero Cats will always be positive. They'll always be alive and well. But there are people and there are situations where there's real drama. Obviously, Midnight has a bit of a feel of Batman, but we're not going to do the whole "our parents are dead" type of thing, because we've seen that kind of storytelling. We're familiar with that kind of storytelling. I'm trying to tell stories that make you think a little bit differently. I'm glad that you connected with it and saw the opportunity for the feelings being there for the character
Oh yeah,
in a
definitely.
slightly different way.
There are a lot of people like me, and I know there's a lot of people out there who feel the same way. That it's weird because you could show a human in a comic getting killed, losing their parents, whatever, and I'm like, oh, it kind of tugs at me a little bit, but okay, we'll get through it. Something happens to a cat or a dog, and for some reason, oh, that's where we draw the line. That just completely tore me up. And you can do that with this kind of stuff. When the cat, Midnight has this, tragedy where he's left alone. And God, I felt like, I've only been reading the issue, the comic a couple of issues, and already felt like, I'd lost a family member or something. It's weird how that dynamic works.
Well, now the neat thing you mentioned this earlier. The neat thing about the Midnight book is that it can be read alone, but when you read the Crow King saga, you'll see what's been happening kind of in front of the camera, and that story arc, I think you'll be very pleased with. The two go hand in hand very well. You don't have to read both of them at the same time, but when you do, it really shows you a completely different journey, because in the Midnight book itself, I went a little, I don't want to say psychedelic, but I went kind of spirit, dream realm type of thing.
Yes.
And it really worked for Midnight. And what I've found is that as I take these characters into a bigger world, it just artistically, I've been very pleased with how it's been delivered. My latest story arc is the Hero Cats of Skyworld, and I'm going to see if I can show you the artwork for that. This is the 3-issue cover, and it'll be collectible.
Nice.
And the basic pitch for that is that it's the Breakfast Club, the princess, the jock, the criminal, so forth, the brain, in a Dungeons and Dragons type of world, as told through cats.
Wow.
So, issues 16, 17, and 18 are not to be missed. It's so much fun. It's probably the most fun I've had writing the series, because I'm able to introduce even more, of a bigger world.
So the core Hero Cats book that releases every other month.
Yes, it releases every other month, and actually I'm currently writing issue number 21. Issue number 16 just came out. We're sending issue 17 off to the printers, and issue 15 actually is the one that I illustrated. Did this illustration with the book itself. My daughter Andrea helped to illustrate also, and so yes, the core book itself, the intention is to keep it ongoing for as long as I possibly can. And then the Midnight book, the second volume you've seen, and then we may be building off of that. We never really intended it for it to go ongoing, but with this latest story twist, we may end up doing that. We got the Galaxy Man character, which Tracy Yardley, the artist of Sonic the Hedgehog, is finishing that up, and we hope to have that out soon. That's been in the works a little bit, quite some time, because we've already got a lot on our plate. But what I've found is that as I'm creating new characters, new environments, new concepts, it helps me to stay engaged with it. And the core book, we've introduced we're going to introduce, this is a little bit of a heads up, we're going to be
Okay.
introducing the hero bots of Stellar City. So you'll meet some robots along the way. Issue 14 introduced a Destructobot, and there's a lot of robots throughout the series that have kind of cropped up, and later on we'll be bringing them together as a team. So
Now I thought that was cool. Like, there's actually several parts in Midnight where Volume 1 where he's actually fighting like a cybernetic crows. As
Yes.
I believe the villain was the Crow King,
yes,
and
yep.
that's a pretty neat deal. And one thing I want to ask, without spoiling any major plot points of Midnight, towards the end of this miniseries, something drastic happens to Midnight as far as his physical stature.
Yep.
Is that like an ongoing thing, or is that just like temporary? Because it seems like it kind of makes things weird.
Yeah, okay, so with the Justice League, Batman's the only character that doesn't have physically manifested powers.
Yeah.
And with the Hero Cats, they don't have costumes, and they don't have manifested powers.
Okay.
They're not going to transform like the Thing and so forth. Except for Midnight had an encounter in the Crow King's realm,
Yeah.
and I personally thought that was going to be something, and it played out well in the graphic novel. I was pleased with it. But honestly, it wasn't until this past Friday night, I think it was, that I came up with a very intriguing twist. So I'm not going to reveal it at all, but I can tell that the transformation of Midnight is a completely separate thing. It's a completely separate story arc and storyline concept that I hope to be able to develop. It certainly opens up new doors.
Okay, so like what happened that instance of what I'm talking about wasn't really addressed in Hero Cats beyond the miniseries.
No, it actually was only. It's actually only in the Midnight book itself.
Okay.
Because the other Hero Cats are not aware that happened.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Because I know he was like sitting. See, I'm not 100% familiar with the characters because I haven't read the core book. But there was actually a cat, like he was hiding in a like a sewer drain, and there was a cat sitting next to him. And when the other cat left, he was like, "Okay, you can come out now," and that's when you see what had happened. So, yeah, that was. I thought it was kind of funny. And oh man, like I want to ask you stuff, but like I don't want to give away the end of book number 3 because like there's a lot of stuff that you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and run through the characters for you then. Okay. All right. So we have this is Belle. All right. Belle can read your mind and can speak to ghosts. All right. This is Rocket. Rocket's the fastest cat in the world, and he might be from outer space.
Cool.
We finally got around to answering that question in issue 15.
Okay.
Then we have Midnight, of course, and then Rocco. Rocco never loses a fight, and he loves movies.
Love it.
Ace is the cat that is their leader, raised by a military family, and he does make an appearance in the Midnight book.
Of course, that's the white one.
And then Cassiopeia. What's that?
I said, of course, that's the white one.
Yep. And then Cassiopeia. Here, she can read newspapers and books and so forth. So Cassiopeia has an insight into what's going on with the humans. And so that's the core 6 hero cats. The other hero cat that we do introduce later on, his name is Bandit. And Bandit
Cool.
is kind of our James Bond cat. And so that's the there is a connection between Bandit and the rest of the team, but that's not revealed until issue 7. So
Okay.
there's all these kind of cool relationships and challenges and disagreements that the cats have, the leadership and so forth that's sometimes questioned. Belle has a questionable past, and all these characters have really come to life for me. So in this particular issue, we were able to take them to a Western. I can't believe I wrote a comic book about cats, at a dude ranch. And jungles. This is the world tour, and so these characters have really branched out in ways that I wouldn't have imagined. But it's so much fun.
That's awesome. Now I want to give you an opportunity to give a shout out to your store you're at there. Where are you located?
I've got 2 stores in Gwinnett County.
Okay.
But my main focus, honestly, has been, I love it when we get a new reader. We have, I make sure that we do a lot of kids' book festivals, because it's wonderful to be able to sell kids their first comic book ever. The great thing about kids is that when they pick up their comic book, they don't care if it's Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, or Adventure Time, or Jeff Smith's series Bone from back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Or you name it. When very early on, I went to a kids children's book festival, and they saw Galaxy Man, and they immediately were like, Galaxy Man, Galaxy Man. And I was like, how do they know? They just thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
And that's the wonderful thing about first-time readers, is that they're coming to you with no preconceived, this is my expectation, this is what this book should be. They discover it for the first time, and it stays with them for a lifetime. Even though I've only been doing Hero Cats for about 4 years, I've had kids come up to me at Comic-Cons and say, man, I've grown up with your comic book, this is awesome. I'm like, wow, what do you mean grown up? And of course, I'm 50, they're 14. A 14-year-old, those 4 years are like a lifetime for them, because that's the bulk of their reading times. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to share with, I saw Star Wars when I was young, and it set me on a course, inspired me to tell stories. And so even if I have just a fraction of that opportunity to inspire readers, that's my goal. Right now, this year is the graphic novel library. We got 6 out so far, and comic book stores throughout America can order these through Diamond. The second volume has sold out, but we're rushing an additional printing of that. It'll have additional material. So we definitely want people that are going to Comic-Cons to go to their local comic shop. And the wonderful thing is that comic stores, they're the front line. I mean, you guys get to tell people walking in the door, hey, this is cool. And, we love being a part of that, and really appreciate you letting your folks know. And we hope you do very well with the series, because I really would like to be writing this stuff on into my retirement. And the only way to be able to achieve that is, through support from fans and comic book stores. So we really, you guys are the real heroes out on the front line.
Oh yeah, I mean, dang, I've even got Midnight and Hero Cats on my pull list. So. Oh yeah, I can't. Well, I'm gonna have to. I can already see it though. I'm gonna end up getting the new issue of Hero Cats when it releases, and I'm not gonna be caught up yet. So I'm gonna have to go back and wait and get, to get fully caught up. So,
now, actually, issue 16. I would challenge you to read issue 16 on its own.
Okay.
Before knowing anything about what's happened before, you're going to find that issues 16, 17, and 18 are going to stand by themselves very, very well, just as the Midnight book did. I've
Okay.
designed it to where new readers will feel comfortable jumping in at certain parts. Obviously, there are going to be cliffhangers. I wouldn't recommend somebody to pick up issue 2 of Midnight before reading issue 1.
Yeah, definitely.
But the second volume of Midnight, which came out today, reads perfectly fine on its own. Not, the issue number 1 on there is there for a reason. We don't want to turn into Marvel, where every 6 months it's a new issue number 1.
Yeah.
And we want to try and stay away from miniseries, but we certainly. I'm old school. I want to be able to track a book, know that it's going to continue to do better and better, but yet always give somebody an opportunity to step in and check out a new story arc. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. When can we expect to see issue 16? That's the next issue, right?
Actually, issue 17. 17 goes off to the printer. Issue 16 is right here.
Okay.
And it is a 3-part cover. That's Hero Cats of Skyworld. And it should be available right now. If retailers don't have it, they can go on to Diamond. There's a long list of books that are reorderable. And what happened for me is that Sonic the Hedgehog was selling pretty well. I was selling 2-3 copies of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I kept selling out. Well, most stores are happy to sell out of a book and just move on to the next month. What I decided was I saw an entire box of Sonic comics at a Comic-Con. This was years ago. And I went ahead and bought the whole box, brought it back to my store. Sure enough, within 2 weeks, the entire box was gone. And I dare you to go on to Diamond right now and look up Sonic the Hedgehog trade paperbacks. They don't have that many. They've all sold out. But we're so conditioned to go, hey, you know what? I've sold 2-3 copies, I'm happy. I've sold 4 or 5 copies, I'm happy. But there are certain books that if you really test the limit of how many you can sell, you'll find that you can sell a bunch of them. You just have to give that reader the first opportunity, that first time jumping on point. And so issue 1 of the Midnight, or really the trade paperbacks, are helpful. But issue 1 of Midnight is still available for volume 1 from Diamond. This current one is still available. Obviously, it just came out today.
Yep.
Issue 16 is available. Issue 7 is a fantastic jumping on point. And so, what you'll find is that if you introduce people to the series, they'll want to get the whole series.
Yep.
And then you can sell a ton of books. And that's what I hope all the comic shops will give it a try for the entire run.
And that's one thing I've noticed about Hero Cats is it's one of those things that is currently spreading, by word of mouth. Like people every day are learning about it, and I see it and I'm like, hey, that looks like a good book. I've read all 3 issues of Midnight. It's a really good read, and I'm like, hey, if you want a good comic to get you into comics, hey, here's a good one. It's got cats. Who doesn't love cats? So.
Well, I was very pleased that about 2 weeks ago we were reviewed on Comicstorian, and if you're not familiar with the Comicstorian, they've got like over 1 million subscribers. So we immediately saw 40,000 views on that, and that was very encouraging. The word is spreading. This getting the word out here is very much so appreciated, because it does take time. When we go to Comic-Cons, people are more and more recognizing it and connecting the dots. That, hey, yeah, I remember that from Free Comic Book Day a couple years ago. Oh, that's still a thing. Okay, let me check it out.
Yeah.
And so the more people hear about it, the more people review it. We just appreciate it very much so. I'm glad that it's connected with folks, and we're going to do our best to never let them down with the quality of the art. and the compelling stories. So.
Awesome. Well, I hope to see Hero Cats do big things because I'm a fan. Love the Midnight series. Gonna have to pick up my copy tomorrow. And again, really appreciate you coming on, joining us, talking about the series. Cannot wait to read number one. And plus, the current 3-issue arc on Hero Cat sounds real promising. So.
Well, issue number 1 was fantastic. Issue 2 had probably my favorite moment of the whole series. I was literally writing the first scene, not sure where I was going. Then when I realized where I was going, you'll see it on the cover. We got a boat chase in there.
Oh, nice.
We actually have a high-speed boat chase in there. So it's just crazy fun stuff to put together. So
I cannot wait to read it.
Thanks so much for all the support. I'm glad that you're a fan. Certainly look forward to the next Comic-Con. And you can get all your comics at your local comic shop. Certainly appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And anytime you're looking for a Hero Cat issue, we hope that you'll find it on the shelves. So
awesome. Well, I'm going to talk to you for just a second after we wrap, but we're going to go ahead and wrap the show. This has been Lonnie with Untitled Nerd Network. You'll be able to catch us live. We're going to be doing some live game streams nightly at 9 p.m. And our next big show, this pretty much wraps up for our 2-year anniversary, but our big show to finally put the wraps on it will be Saturday night at 9. The Saturday Night Crew is going to be getting together and doing some retro gaming. And this has been it for today. I'm Lonnie with Untitled Nerd Network. We are live from Infinity Flux, and we are here with special guest, Hero Cats creator, Kyle Puttkammer. And once again, thank you for coming on, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you so much, and especially thank you to Infinity Flux, and we'll catch you next time.